Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
So we go to Europe and, you have 100-year-old castles and relics left behind. Canada's very young, and we have not done a good job at preserving our historic sites. So to have an industrial site like this that is almost the original footprint still standing is incredible. So even what we're at today, there's portions of the building that we lost in fire or in flood damage or anything like that. So the actual factory was much, much bigger than what it is today. So even that, telling people that story is kind of shocks them as well.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. Well, there I was one day driving down the street, and I see a sign on the side of the road that says Field School Archaeology at Medalta. And I went, what are they digging up at Medalta? So I made a phone call, and that led us here. It was Sarah Schatz, who is the event coordinator at Medalta. We are in one of the historic kilns, which I love. It's absolutely amazing to be in here. And we're going to talk about the Field School, because what are you digging up?
So one of the very special things about Medalta this year, it's our 40th anniversary of the Friends of Medalta Society. And over 40 years ago, two gentlemen dreamt up what this place would look like if it was not just a derelict factory. And one of the founders, Jack, always wanted to know where the old stable was. And we did have horses that worked here before power was added in and helped haul the clay around. So the Archaeological Field School this year, we are searching for the old horse barn. And it's a kind of a full fruition celebrating his dream on the 40th year.
Now, I think the archaeologist that is involved was here at first in 2010 and helped to discover the foundations for some of the original kilns.
That's right. Yeah, Dr. Jacobson is a Medalta nut as well. She loves this place and has just a wealth of information and passion for discovering new little niches about this place that we didn't know yet. So it's great to have her back and leading this school.
It's amazing that we're here, because I recall those days 40 years ago when Jack Forbes and Dan Taylor and David Jameson were involved in trying to convince people that this was possible. And at the time, this was basically a dusty old place that hadn't seen any activity in years.
It was, yeah.
And the dream is alive, and there's lots of things happening for the 40th years of the Friends of Medalta. You have a market, I understand.
We do. We're trying something new. One of the top requested things people ask us for is those Thursday night markets.
Yes.
When those started, Medalta was one of the first places in town that was doing those markets. So we always had great big turnout, and it became a fan favorite event down here. It's just a lot of changeover. So this year we're doing it bigger and better. We're doing it over the course of 2 days and kind of throwing a night market feel into it. So it's going to have artisans and kids activities and food trucks and live music and beer samplings and everything. So it's going to be a really great time. That's July 11th and 12th. And we're calling it District Days to really celebrate and party what this district means to all of us.
Now, when you used to have it on Thursday nights, a little bit inside and a little bit outside. Are you going to follow that?
That's right. Yeah, we have this beautiful outdoor courtyard space that we will be taking full advantage of. So you can come and get some air conditioning, but also go out in the sunshine, whatever your preference is.
What are the hours?
So it's the Saturday night, we're going to run a little bit late. We're going to go from 4 till 10. Like I said, maybe bring in a different demographic that's looking for that night market, hang out under the patio lights feel. And then Sunday is going to be 10 to 2. We don't normally do our markets on Sundays, so we're really excited to see how this goes and hopefully welcome in a new group of people that maybe don't know about Medalta, come down and meet us and hang out on a couple different.
Now, when you used to do the Thursday nights, you had lots of food trucks here.
Did, yeah. Yeah, we're going to try again this year. There'll be a couple different vendors, and a couple have already locked in. We've got 2 or 3 more spaces left to fill, so it's going to be a fun time that you can just come and meet some of the local businesses as well and get to know them and, again, just hang out and meet some people. We have a brand new Medalta beer that we've launched with Mesnap Brewing Company, so that will be available for samplings and for sale at the bar. And then a couple other relationships around town that we're excited to showcase. And obviously Plainsman Clays is just down the road as well. They're going to be there doing some informational and demonstrations as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Art and exploration. This is for teens, to get the younger people involved in the clay, I guess, working with clay.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that teenagers don't really get the history stuff. They don't get the dorky side of it. So the education team has really catered this to make it a little more fun, a little more jazzy, and they can come and learn in a new way and get their hands dirty and make something that's funky to them. So we're really excited for that program.
What kid doesn't like making mud pies?
It's true. It's true.
I mean, kids and clay, they should be an automatic thing to go together.
Yeah.
Also, you have a thing for adults, so people like me can get dirty.
Yeah, so we have a couple different options now with adult classes here on the museum side. Our education team's doing so that you get that historical experience. You get a museum tour, and then you get to do your hand building. And then we have adult beginner classes as well that run through the year. So it really is a sampling of whether you want to become a potter or not. So you can have a 2-hour class all the way up to a year-long residency. So there's really something for everyone, and to see just what piques your interest.
Private events are also available for booking here.
That's right. Yeah. So we have our main event hall that can hold up to 250 people and more for like concerts and stuff. So weddings, conferences, fundraising galas, the list goes on. So we've really seen a whole new life brought into the space in that realm as well. And people, again, here as a wedding guest who had no idea what Medalta is or what it means to the community, they come in just thinking they're coming to their friend's wedding, and their minds kind of get blown.
I imagine you get people come here, I'm going to go into an old place for it. Like, well, this is going to be boring. And then they walk out and they're I guess, changed.
Yep.
They understand the importance of this site.
It's true. Yeah, there's lots of stories like that, especially from all across Alberta. We recently just had a provincial conference in here, and same thing, people from north of Edmonton who had no idea that there was such a cool center, now saying, okay, I'm going to bring my kids and my partners down, and let's make another experience for another date. So,
and summer camps for kids as well.
Yeah. So those fill up very quickly, very fast, but they're week-long programs that you get to come, and same thing, the kids get to see the museum, learn something new, get their hands dirty. They go outside and learn something about the neighborhood as well, and go out into the creek areas and whatnot. So those are amazing things for the kids, again, just to get them excited about something that's dorky or unusual. So I think there's a couple spots left in those if people have any interest, and those always run every summer.
And birthday parties. You can have a birthday party here.
Those are new this year. Yeah, we again, one of those top requested things of can you bring your kids in for a birthday experience? So I think it's a 2.5-hour slot. You get to come in again. Your group gets to play in the clay. They have a little party room as well, so you can bring in a cake and snacks, do your presents right on site as well, and just make like a whole experience of it here. So that's really unique and kicked off now.
And you have a real saver for parents when those PD days come up. And, well, what are we going to do with the kids?
Yeah, those turned into a fun one as well. Just again, like, where can we open up those spots so that families do feel like we are consistently here and we're consistently available? So those run year round as well. And the dates for that are always launched a little bit in advance so parents can kind of plan and look at what their weeks are going to look like. So
now, if I just have a day and I got a couple hours and I want to take a tour, can I come in?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're in the off season, and our hours do change just based on summer students' availability. So come July 1st, we're open 7 days a week through the summer so that you can come in no matter what your summer plans are and get a guided tour or a self-guided tour. Some people like to go at their own pace and feel a little bit more flexible. And then other guided tours are an hour and a half long. You get the full story. You get some extra little tidbits of information through that. So those are all available as well. And it's just a really great opportunity you're going to see the stuff, but then you're going to hear the stories with a tour guide.
You said self-directed. Is that with some sort of a hearing device?
No, you get a map and a brochure, and that wanders through. So there's interpretive panels throughout the museum and videos as well. And then at the end, if you have any questions, you want to go a little deeper, the front desk staff will always give you some more intel, shall we say. And then so it kind of makes people feel a little bit more relaxed, and they can go at their own pace and investigate it for themselves. So it's just nice to have those two options.
Now, what are they going to see when they go through the tour?
So Medalta is one of those unique places that, like, the States has the better word for it. We call it a living history museum down there. That's exactly what Medalta is. So you're going to come through and see original machinery where we process raw clay, private collections, museum collections, our historic kilns. You get to wander through all of that. And then we're still an operational site. So we're still making Medalta pottery today with the original designs and as close to original colors as possible. So we don't like to call it a reproduction because it's still just the same old stuff. And so that really puts us in a unique position as you're seeing the old and the current. So very unique, yeah.
Can I buy things?
You can, yeah. So we have a gift shop that's stocked with a whole bunch of different options. All of the Medalta pieces, like I said, are original wares that we're making today. Highcroft, we have some Highcroft items that are actually antique left over from the warehouse. So those are available. And then we have a variety of local business items or local artisan pieces that they've created either while here and becoming an artist in residence or at their own pottery studios at home. So there's a variety of items to shop in our gift shop, and those are open during the museum hours.
There's lots of glass cases out here with lots of things on display. I was like a kid in a candy store out there looking at things. What's the origin of that?
So this room that we're next to is called the Collectors Gallery, and in here specifically features Tony Schlachter's collection. Tony was a local farmer just outside of Medicine Hat, and he had a passion for discovering pieces. So in this room alone, there's over 2,500 pieces in Tony's collection, and it represents not just Medalta, but the other ceramic factories in this neighborhood. So it really gives you a glimpse of this is what Medalta was making, but this is what Highcroft was making, this is what Sunburst made, and so on and so forth. So there's, I think, 7 or 8 different potteries on display in that room, and you can see literally 100 years of design on display. So
one of the other areas that is part of the Historic Clay District is the IXL brick plant. Do you have any programming there?
We don't. So the problem with IXL is that it is closer to the floodplain. So they have really been beat up over the years with all of our floods, and the city has done a great job with our landscape berms now, but it is quite frankly unsafe for anybody to go in right now. So we're trying to infuse a little bit of Highcroft, a little bit of IXL back onto this site so that we can still tell those stories in a safe manner and make sure that people are knowing that history. But it's amazing. This entire neighborhood is, like I said, over 100 years of history in ceramics and other industry as well. So
one time this was the industrial center of Western Canada.
Yep. At the height in, I think it was the late 1920s, there was 75% of pottery made nationwide came from this neighborhood, came from Medalta. So that alone just speaks to the volume and how important this site is. And we hear those stories from tourists all the time that, oh, I'm from Ontario and I think my grandma had one of these. So it's amazing to see those little connections all around the world, quite frankly.
And Medalta is highly collectible.
They are, yes, yeah.
Do you get phone calls from people? I've got a piece here. What's that worth?
We do. So that's the trip as myself as a collector and a historian. Ethically, I cannot give you the price of what that's worth, but it's amazing because, they'll say, okay, I think this is the stamp, it's partially rubbed off, or is this the color, or do you know what year this came from? We're always happy to try and answer those questions as best we can, and we have some great resources in the gift shop and in the museum that you can kind of take a picture of that stamp and match it to your piece at home. So,
were you left with patterns and books that help you date things?
Yeah, and in the late 90s and early 2000s, a couple of collectors and historians actually went through and kind of made a catalog of all those stamps and patterns so that you can pull that up and say, oh, I know exactly what the pattern is that I just picked up off Kijiji or at a thrift shop. For us especially, there were so many pieces left behind that some of them were still good. So that's what makes up our collection, our archives. And then we have, of course, accessioned pieces back in by donations from the public and just kind of build out that story of this is what art looked like in the 1920s.
We were fortunate in that basically this place was in limbo, in stasis for so many years. So you can sort of give people the idea of what it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly the neat portion of this place. We go to Europe and, you have 100-year-old castles and relics left behind. Canada is very young, and we have not done a good job at preserving our historic sites. So to have an industrial site like this that is almost the original footprint still standing is incredible. So even what we're at today, there's portions of the building that once that we lost in fire or in flood damage or anything like that. So the actual factory was much, much bigger than what it is today. So even that, telling people that story is like kind of shocks them as well.
Yeah. Do you ever have any quiet moments when you think you hear the voices of people that worked here?
Yeah, that's definitely a repeating factor in this area. We've had many people come with their experiences and even just walking through an empath saying, oh, I can feel them. Our production manager here often feels that they prank her, so she has her own experience with them. But really, like, just being here in the night, I just feel the wonder. This is such a unique place, and there's 100 years of stories and people connected to this place, so it's quite cool.
You've talked about history nerds. I think you probably qualify?
I self-identify, yes, yeah.
Okay. Is that what led you to want to be here, to work in here?
Yeah, I have quite a unique Medalta experience myself. I was a summer student here, and it altered the direction of my university degree, and I love this place. I was a born and raised Medicine Hat girl who ran away to the big city for 5-6 years and came home and fell in love with the place again. And I think it's just puts Medalta in a very unique position to try and keep our community stories alive and bring that history back to the limelight, shall we say. So yeah, it holds a very special place in my heart and a lot of my colleagues as well.
Exhibitions. I think I've seen some ads for a few that are coming up as well.
Yeah. So we offer year-round exhibitions, and especially when artists and residents are finishing off their year-long terms, they get to do a show. So this year, our next exhibition isn't until the fall, and that's a collaboration between a local school and our local pottery club. And then next spring, we'll kick off another round of exhibitions. So you can always keep an eye on our website and our social media to see those announcements and little teasers as those get installed.
Mm-hmm. The Artists in Residence is another program that runs, I think, throughout the year, but a little special one for the month of May.
That's right. Yeah. So we had a very unique experience where 7 different universities across Canada selected 7 students and sent them here to come and learn and be interns and experiment and create. And it's just been a very cool atmosphere over there where 7 people who came in with 0 connections have kind of become friends and have been just bringing a new life into that place and experimenting. So that is a really fun one. They won't exhibit after that, but it's still been just so fun to have, again, some young college blood in there and experimenting and seeing what they come up with using Medalta techniques or our kilns and whatnot. So artists in residencies, they can go from 1 month up to a year. So you kind of have that flexibility of how long you want to come, how long you want to stay. And then a very unique portion of it, even our workshops this year are led by, I think, 3 or 4 alumni. So they come to be artists and they keep coming back, or they come to be teachers eventually. So that is a very special niche again with our little world over here.
So Medalta is infectious.
Yes, I like to think that.
Have you, what's the weirdest request you've had from someone said, or maybe the farthest you've heard from someone who has a Medalta piece?
I had an interesting one actually from Edmonton area recently, and because they don't have a dedicated ceramics history museum up there, he has a piece of Highcroft that was a 4-piece set gifted to his dad. And it was because of farmers down in Medicine Hat baling hay, other way around. Medicine Hat had a drought, and Edmonton farmers were baling hay and sending it down to Medicine Hat. And as a thank you, Harry Viner at Highcroft had customized dishes for those farmers and sent it up to say thank you for participating. So he was like, hey, we don't have a pottery factory up here. Who do I send this to if I want to donate it? Do we accession it into the museum collection, or do I try and sell it? So at the end of that conversation, I think we walked away with it. It's pretty special and you better keep it, but we'll see. So those are very unique because we're the one-point contact for most of those odd questions. But
okay. How do people get a hold of you?
We have our website, our social media, and then our phone number, 403-529-1070. And you can call, and then our guest services will get you to the right person, whether it's events or classes or field trips or anything like that.
Is there anything else you wanted to mention while we're here?
Just thank you for having me on. This is awesome. It's a pleasure to brag about Medalta and invite people down to see what we do down here and learn about us. So it's a really great pleasure. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the visit.
Thank you. Yeah.